There we are.
We're live. Hello. No one yet.
But we got the people watching on YouTube after the fact, and they can hear this nice, crisp audio.
Yeah, I'm going
because
I'm
we
going
fixed
to
all of our
make
audio
sure-
issues.
Make sure the audio sounds right.
People watching on YouTube after the fact, and they can hear this nice, crisp audio.
Yeah, I'm going
because
I'm
we
going
fixed
to
all of our
make
audio
sure-
issues.
Make sure the audio sounds right.
People watching on YouTube after the fact, and they can hear this nice, crisp audio.
Yeah, I'm going
because
I'm
we
going
fixed
to
all of our
make
audio
sure
issues.
Make sure the audio sounds right.
People want out of the mixer because
We putting our applications for a full-time producer.
Yeah, I'm producing and talking. I see y'all in the chat. Yo, what up? What up? What up? Let's see if I can open the chat.
We got Jared Williams and some guy whose username is just basketball. Early birds.
Basketball.
Beautiful. Before the tweet, before any notifications. Yeah, we had it set up right in the middle before when we got here.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it like right here and be like, yo.
Oh, Jared says the audio sounds weird. I don't think it does though. I mean, when you were playing, it did not.
Let's try that again. Hold on, let's see.
That's maybe not running through everybody's headphones though.
It's fine. This is our second time in the office doing this in the brand new studio that was just set up. So we're still working on some things.
Look, it's the preseason for us too.
Office doing this in the brand new studio that was just set up. So
That
we're still
audio's
working
good.
on some
That audio's
things.
good. Look, it's the preseason for us too.
Office doing this in the brand new studio that was just set up. So
That
we're
audio's
still working
good.
on some
That audio's
things.
good. Look, it's the preseason for us too.
Office doing this in the brand new studio that was just set up. So
that
we're
audio's
still working
good.
on. So what you guys were just hearing. All right. So I have my phone running into the mixer to play the voicemail, to play the intro. And when I just checked YouTube, you heard the YouTube playing through. Give us a second. I would like to tweet this out to like from my Twitter to try and get some people in the chat if possible.
Still can't tweet it out from the Talking Nets Twitter.
Yeah, that which sucks, but it is what it is. Is what it is for now. And
We will have it back for the season. I'm manifesting.
I'm not really too worried about it. I do believe we will have it back by the start of the season, but I can't say that for sure, and I'm not really tripping off of it. So I exist in real life. Hudson exists in real life. We are together in real life, about to do Talking Nets. We do have an Instagram. We do have a Twitter. We do have a backup Twitter, which is Talking Nets World. And I'm going to send a tweet now to get some people to join us. Shout out to you in the notification squad.
Real fans.
Pulled up. Only a couple of them, but still.
And hey, no Twitter for if we don't have Twitter for the opening game of the season. It'll be less on our conscience to be there in person.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, woo. You sneeze before you're about to say something, or you say you're speaking on something and you sneeze, you're sneezing on the truth. The truth is that we will get the account back because we didn't kill anybody. We didn't steal from anybody. We got a DMCA violation that everyone has. And from what I've been researching and looking through, there's a ton of suspended accounts right now, and we're just in a pile of them. So like any other pile, like pile of resumes, you apply to a job, your resume is in a pile of resumes until someone plucks your resume out of that pile, and then boom, you're on. So that's what we're waiting for. Hey, we're recording live. Join us. Okay. And
Like last time, you can use this time to ask us some questions that we'll hit at the end. But thankfully, we actually have more content for this episode than last episode. We got some inside scoop about what it's looking like in the Barclays Center before the season.
yeah, I was in there yesterday. It felt really good. I'm not gonna lie. Like it's got me ready for the games to start. It's got me
And they
ready
had
for
you in the
season.
practice gym too, didn't they?
Yeah, that was cool. It was cool because I've seen it. That's by the like Qatar Airways like VIP entrance to the left of the Barclays Center. I've seen it coming in and out of there, but I never thought there'd be a reason for me to be on that floor. And yesterday there was. So
It's funny, they had the old court too, right? Didn't they have like the yellowy herringbone floor like we used to
Yeah,
have?
it brought us back to like 2017, 2016 court. They didn't start changing the court until 2018, 2019. No, 2019 into 2020.
They changed it
rolled
with
out
the gray court.
All right, we're about to start. Hudson's got to go back to school. And I just sent a tweet out. And let me make sure we're recording here. Yes, that is now recording on the mixer. So I will count us in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Talking Nets, episode 125, the last episode before training camp. Everyone's reporting. We've seen the Nets beat reporters out there in San Diego. The players are out there. We just had the press conference this week with Sean Marks and Steve Nash. We'll talk about that. A ton of nonsense swirling around our guy, Kyrie. Where's the, hold on, let me show the shirt. We support Kyrie, always and been, even though there's a bunch of nonsense around his name this past week. It just seems normal for us. He's not getting traded. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about the Brooklyn Brigade, the block. I was at the tryouts. If you can look and see that In Marks We Trust sign right behind Hudson, that was my sign yesterday. I was in the Barclays Center with the best fans in the world, and we're ready, Nets world, for this revenge season. Practice in the park is coming back. Let's do it, man. Let's talk Nets. Let's see. Can y'all hear that?
Brooklyn, we go hard. We go hard. 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 Brooklyn, we go hard.
Yes, sir. Welcome back to Talking Nets, episode 125, coming to you live from the studios at the John Boy Media headquarters in the Bronx. Keith McPherson and Hudson Flynn joining you on a Thursday afternoon to talk Nets quickly. It's the last episode before training camp. That means it's about to get really real. That means we're back on. That means we're back to basketball. That means we're back to competing and going for the chip. Hudson Flynn, what's up, brother? Can you say hello to the people?
How are we all doing? I hope you guys enjoy the high quality audio. I said it last week. I said we were going to have high quality audio. Some things happened. It didn't come, but you've got it now. All of the kinks are worked out. And man, I'm excited because not too much time left to work out the kinks, because next episode, next week, we will be talking about preseason out in San Diego. I'm excited to have real basketball to talk about. I'm excited to talk to Keith about some things that aren't just Kyrie Irving in the news for no reason. You know, all the drama, Stephen A. Smith, all of the off-season content that comes when there's nothing else to talk about. It'll all be gone because we will have basketball to talk about.
Yeah, so we will have something coming out of San Diego. We know that the reporters are there. I said that on the intro. We know that, you know, the team is showing up. We got a deep team, a new team, a bunch of new players, and I can't wait to see what comes out of camp. Now, I think I said on one of the last episodes, I wish that they had some way to watch this like sparring session that's going to go down between some of the best players in the world. I wish there was a way for us to see behind the scenes of these practices in the same way that we saw, like, you know, footage of the Dream Team back then. We won't get that, but we have some of the best reporters in the game, some of the best guys that cover the Nets, and I'm sure that they will give us plenty of stuff. So I'm ready to go. I'm pumped up about that. And the first thing we got to talk about is this press conference. So the Brooklyn Nets had a press conference this week with Sean Marks and Marks We Trust and Steve Nash, our head coach and GM. I think it was just a, you know, address any type of thing, you know, 2 days ago. It actually was pissing me off because everybody on Nets Twitter was talking about the presser. Everybody on Nets Twitter was putting out tweets and questions. Our guy Christian Winfield was in the Zoom. Bontemps was in the Zoom. Obviously, Nets Daily was in there. And I was like, damn, I wish we had Talking Nets so we could cover it. Or tweet some stuff about this. I think I put a couple things out on Talking Nets World and on our Instagram. But overall takeaways, Hudson, what are your overall thoughts from the press conference? I'm assuming that you watched the full thing, or at least, enough of it to see what they said. Nothing crazy, no standout quotes. But what were your thoughts hearing from Sean Marks and Steve Nash as we go into this next season?
I mean, like you said, there wasn't really any standout quotes. There weren't really any moments that you had to circle, put on the front page of, the Daily News or whatever. But what I did take away from it is that basketball's coming back, right? We have Sean Marks going out, talking to everybody, really having serious conversations about what's going to happen this season. And that's just exciting to me as a Nets fan. Obviously, we had some things we put out, the tweet and the Instagram post with Sean Marks talking about the extensions for Kyrie Irving and James Harden, and some other stuff, the roles of some players that we've acquired. But really, my takeaway from it is, that's all talk. But what it means is that we're coming back. We're coming back to basketball. We're coming back close to the regular season. We have important things to talk about. And the media storm is brewing. The media storm is beginning, because that's what time it is. And it's this long summer that we've spent waiting to avenge the memories of, Kevin Durant's big ass toe. And now we're finally here to be able to do it.
And we're not shying away from it. There's one goal, bone goal for our OG Nets fans. Bone goal out here. One of the first questions they asked was, do you expect to win it all? And, I think Sean Marks answered it well. He said there's 6, 7, 8, maybe 9, 10 teams that expect to win it all, that realistically have those expectations. And Ian Begley wrote on Twitter, he says, as was the case last season, Nets GM Sean Marks and the head coach Steve Nash are shying away from title expectations in BK. We own that we're out to win a championship. We own that, Nash says. But it's a process, and you have to win that process to be there at the end. So obviously everyone in the world is looking at the Nets as the favorites. Obviously everyone in the world looks at us as a super team and says we're stacked. And every hater says it's championship or bust. And even the fans of the Nets say, yeah, it's championship or bust because we were this close last year. Now, in Marks we trust. Sean Marks this offseason, he didn't rest. He didn't take a step back. He didn't say, we're good enough as is. He says, no, there's plenty of opportunity to get this team better. And they did. And there were plenty of questions about the guys on this team. But what I thought was interesting was that they didn't list names of some of the back end guys. The Bembries, Sekou, I still can't pronounce his name. Some of the guys that are on the, outer part of the roster that we're not sure whether they're making the team or not, they didn't mention. But of course, they mentioned Harden, Kyrie, and their extensions. And I came away from the press conference thinking that there's nothing to worry about. They mentioned that, the players are away. They're away from the facility. Kyrie just had his firstborn son. He's chilling. And he's also on a world tour to help the community. Harden had his H-Town celebration for his birthday. Then he went to Greece. So the guys haven't been there. And Marks alluded to, we want to do this type of stuff in person with our guys. It'll get done when it's time to get done. I'm not worried about that. Now, there were some quotes and some things mentioned. So there was a question asked about another guy at the end of the roster, James Johnson. And I don't know if it was intentional, but they asked about, Christian Winfield, and we posted this one. He asked about James Johnson, and he also asked about Nick Claxton. No mention of James Johnson in the reply to that question, but Steve Nash did reply about Nick Claxton, and here's some quotes from our reporters. Here's Alex Shifter. Nash says, I think Nick is an important part of what we do. Despite the additions of Millsap, James Johnson, and retaining Blake Griffin and Aldridge, Nash expects Claxton to still have a prominent role. So for all the Clax mania, all the Clax stands, I think the young man is going to take a step, and the Brooklyn Nets value him. I know a lot of people were looking at the signings of a couple veteran bigs and saying this is going to take away time from Claxton. I don't know. I think we're walking into an open competition.
I do want to remind people that we were in a similar position with Jared Allen just a couple of years ago.
Very true.
We were all having the same conversation. We were like, he has the potential. He's long, but he hasn't bulked up enough. We don't know if he's going to be able to really step up in those big games. Is he going to be able to fight down low with the Joel Embiids, with the Nikola Jokic's, the big bodies that are running the league right now, winning MVPs? Jared Allen, obviously, ended those conversations. He's 100 millionaire now. And I think Clax is on the same trajectory. Maybe not the same play style. He's a more fluid defender. He has better footwork, some other things going on that, maybe Jarrett has that Clax doesn't. But we've been here before, right? And it seems like Sean Marks is attempting to fill a mold and to follow a process that he's already worked out, pretty well in the past. So with Nick Claxton this year, I'm expecting a jump because that's what we saw from Jarrett Allen. And I think that we're at that stage in the Nick Claxton process.
I think he takes a step, and I think most NBA fans are aware of him. But I think this is the season that NBA fans know his name. And he's going to have plenty veterans around him, and he's going to have plenty superstars around him and guys to learn from and take that next step. Now, wrapping up the talk about the press conference, they talked about these three guys that have been added as I talk about veterans. Patty Mills. Saw him in Nets warmups the other day, and I cannot wait to see that pest playing for the Brooklyn Nets, causing problems, coming off the bench, willing to come off the bench and be a shooter, get us buckets. Paul Millsap, late in free agency, we signed Paul Millsap. Veteran, pedigree, Trill Sap, the anchor man. I'm pumped to see what he does for the Brooklyn Nets. And then obviously LaMarcus Aldridge, they mentioned LaMarcus Aldridge. At first, they were, the Brooklyn Nets have the best health and doctors or whatever, the best health medical staff. And Mark said that at first they were hesitant. Like, hey, maybe this isn't the right decision. But once he was cleared, they made it clear in that press conference that there was nowhere else that LaMarcus Aldridge wanted to play. There was only one destination, and that was Brooklyn. And he said himself that he had unfinished business. And I feel like that should just be this year's moniker. I feel like that should be the tagline of this team.
Because that's the situation, right? That's exactly what we're going to. We talked about championship or bust, bone goal, all that stuff, right? It really is, though. It's unfinished business. It's looking back and saying, if Kevin Durant didn't prefer to have more wiggle room in his shoes and wore his natural shoe size, we're into the Eastern Conference Finals. Maybe we're into the finals. Maybe we're talking about the parade that we enjoyed this summer, right? All of that stuff could have happened, but it needs to happen. It needs to happen this year. We're in a situation where if the Nets can't make it work with this core, and I'm not floating the idea that it won't, I'm not saying that anyone should start hitting the panic button because obviously they shouldn't. This is really the first full year of having the full big three, the full core, but it would be embarrassing to not be able to have anything. And I don't want to experience another summer like the one we just had. So that's exactly what it is. It's unfinished business. It's getting back to work and it's completing our objective.
Luckily, this summer flew by. It's literally fall now. But that makes it brings up another point. They mentioned in the press conference that this big three that we have, this big three that everyone talks about, the first real games they were playing together were those high intensity games in the first round of the playoffs against the Celtics, and then into the Bucks series where game 1, Harden gets hurt, and game 4, Kyrie gets hurt. So we have not even really seen the big three on the floor playing together. Just keep that in mind, right? The Nets came up short, but they didn't have a healthy big three, and the big three didn't have that much time to play together. They will have a whole training camp time, preseason time, and this whole 82 games this year to get right for the chip. And last things from the press conference, they asked about players being vaccinated and unvaccinated. And from the answers, I guess there are some players that aren't all the way vaccinated yet, or, are on the fence about it or haven't got it done yet. But I expect that to change because we're in New York and it's mandated that if you want to play in the Barclays Center, you have to have those shots, man. And we got time. I think they're going to probably end up getting those shots this week. It might be something like report to training camp and get that first shot. So
that's just the way it's going to work. I really am hoping for it because, we're friends with all the Nets beat reporters after doing this whole Talking Nets thing for a little while. I want them to be able to get back in the locker room and ask their questions there. The whole Zoom press conference fiasco from last year, it just wasn't as fun. It didn't feel as honest, and it didn't feel as fluid as you normally get with those postseason post-game conversations. So I'm looking forward to that, and I think that's something that'll come when everybody is vaccinated.
It's coming soon. One more thing from the press conference, we're going to move on. There was talk around Patty Mills, right? This is from Matt Brooks. Shout out to Matt Brooks. My guy's starting a podcast. Go check him out. Matt Brooks has been on our show, and you've probably seen me do some live streams and other content. Matt Brooks, don't forget the NBA. He says Steve Nash says he can see Patty Mills playing and making an impact on and off the ball, attacking from the second side. When playing with other ball handlers, it won't necessarily always look like Australia out there. So we just come off of the Tokyo Olympics where he's out there dropping 40, and he's saying there's going to be different things. And he also said, someone asked him about where KD is going to play now that we signed, Millsap, Aldridge, some veteran bigs. And Nash mentioned KD playing the 3, maybe even the 5, but really what he was alluding to was positionless basketball.
KD's playing on the court.
KD's going to be on the floor. He's the number one player. He's going to be
our point
in the
forward,
world.
our point big, our point guard. It's Kevin Durant.
Call it whatever you want to call it. We're going to put our best players out there, and we're going to play how we want to play. And that's a good segue into some other things. Practice in the park. Talking about playing how we want to play. 2019 was the last one. I didn't make it to that one. We're going to try and make it to this one. Practice in the Park is Saturday, October 9th at Pier 2 Park, right by the Brooklyn Bridge. Tickets are going to be sent out next week, I believe, or 2 weeks from now. You can sign up. It's free. Look at the Brooklyn Nets Twitter. You can find the link. Go sign up. It's a limited amount of tickets, but it's such an awesome vibe. Hopefully it won't be too cold yet. And you get to see the players, meet the players, and they literally hoop out there right in front of the city. You get the city backdrop and the Brooklyn Bridge. It's awesome.
It's iconic. And what it reminds me of is Keith and I, when we went to the season ticket holder event, I don't know if you remember, but they had this thing where like KD kind of like stood in the middle of the court and he would like throw the ball to like little like 4 and 5 year olds and they would have to run down and make a bucket. And like that got me excited. I was like, oh my God, look at Kevin Durant. He's on a basketball court and I'm right here.
He was still hurt then. He was still rehabbing.
Yeah. And now we're going to be able to see them up close practicing. And obviously, we've been to games, we've seen them up close playing then, but I feel like practice is kind of a different animal, right?
Yeah.
The internal competition on this team, seeing someone like Kyrie Irving matched up one-on-one against James Harden in practice, playing for their pride rather than for any, scoreboard or whatever it is. It's exciting. It's different. And if you get the chance to go, you got to be there because it's kind of an iconic moment. I don't know if any other NBA franchises do anything like that.
I don't know if they can. I mean, in New York, you can pretty much do whatever with stuff like that. And it's about community and building the community and building the fan base, which, they say we have no fans. That's not true. That's a lie. Yesterday, we had the Brooklyn Brigade, the block, the fan section that leads all the chants that you see on the Jumbotron at the Barclays Center. We had auditions for that group. Now, I was like an honorary member last year. I made the group just for like the postseason run. I was just there for the playoffs.
You got the call up. You made the 40-man.
I was just around, and shout out to Doug, shout out to Bobby, shout out to Dawn, my guy Miggs, MG Bushwick, Marsh. Some of the guys that are already in the crew that have been in it for years. Some of them are going on their 9th year. But now the Brooklyn Nets are changing some things. They're making it bigger. They're making it better. And they are bringing in whoever would like to, join the group. So if you missed that opportunity, that's tough. But I did tell you on the last episode that it was open to anyone who wanted to show up. You just had to go on the Brooklyn Nets website, sign up, and get a time. There were 3 sessions yesterday. And I'll quickly tell you what we did. We broke up into 2 groups, odds and evens. And the first thing we did was just rock out with DJ Jay Jung. Shout out to Jay Jung. That's the man out there that, plays the music for the Barclays Center. And he just played a couple cues. He played Let's Go Nets, defense, just anything that, you hear in the arena, and to see how we responded team versus team. After that, like a little warm-up segment, we had a like improv, like come up with 5 different chants. And both sides came up with 10 chants total. And it was an awesome vibe to just see the creativity, fans working together, trying to figure out what was going to work, what was going to not work. And we turned up in there, and it just felt good. For me, it felt good to be back with Nets fans, literally in the Barclays Center, on the practice court. We're all dressed in Nets gear. We brought signs, and it was like a warm-up for the season. It's just good to be back in there yelling, Brooklyn. So stay tuned for that. It'll be on The Bridge, the YouTube series that the Nets put out. I saw The Bridge in there filming. I saw their social team filming. The Brooklyn Nets hype team was out there. So it's all coming together. Pretty soon we'll be back in the Barclays Center. Moving along through this episode, the last but not least thing that we got to talk about is something that I'm tired of talking
It
about.
might be the least. It might be
It's
the
like,
least.
it's just, we have to talk about this as a Nets podcast. We have to talk about this as Nets fans. We have to talk about this because everyone else is talking about this, even though it's nonsense. So I'm going to play a voicemail. And after I play that voicemail, we'll talk about what we don't really want to talk about.
Yo, it's Carlos. I just left a voicemail and I forgot to give my name. So I'm Carlos. I'm from Jersey, born and raised all my life. And I brought up the topic of Kyrie Irving. Why do people hate the man? Why is he a menace to everybody? But like, it doesn't make any sense. The guy does no wrong. He just wants to see the world go round and just be a good guy. He's an amazing person. I don't understand the hate. Boston fans, I get it. They hate him because he wasn't what they expected, I guess. I don't know what that means, but it is what it is. I just want to call back on here, tell you guys where I'm from, and that, Kyrie's great, man. I love him here. He doesn't want to get traded. He's home. He's home, It's a great feeling to have somebody who wants to play on your team, and he loves it here. He obviously wants to win here. But at the same time, if the guy needs some time off for mental health reasons or to just handle something that's bigger than basketball, by all means, go do it. Yeah, you have an obligation, but still, handle yours. It's still a job like everybody else. And that's all I really want to say, man. I love what you guys are doing. And let's go Nets, Brooklyn.
Let's go Nets. Brooklyn is right.
It's not that complicated. It's not that complicated. This is like, I don't understand. I just don't get why people like to make everything surrounding Kyrie like bigger than it is, or more crazy, or more important, or whatever it is. It's whenever he's under the bright lights of scrutiny, it's never, man, you see how good at basketball he is, you see how gifted he is. It's never that. And I wish it was that simple, because when you put all of the other stuff aside, whatever your politics are, whatever your weird opinions on commitment to the team are, all you have to do is sit and realize and bear witness to the greatness that is Kyrie Irving. And I just wish more people were able to enjoy themselves, because that's really what they're missing out on.
Thank you, Hudson.
Kyrie.
All right, let's play this nonsense. Let's play this nonsense one time on the podcast. You've all heard it, and then we'll talk about it.
You forget how loud Stephen A. Smith is until he's in your headphones.
And wrap this up, man.
Remember all of those trade scenarios that I talked about at the beginning of the show, CJ and all of this other stuff? Here's another thing that could have happened. Kyrie could have ended up in Philly. Sean Marks couldn't do that because KD wasn't having it. KD wasn't having it. KD like, Kyrie Irving ain't going no damn place. Let me tell you something right now. Philadelphia might have said no, but I assure you, if it were not for Kevin Durant, the Brooklyn Nets would be interested in making that deal. Because
Shut up. Shut your mouth.
Wait, Philly might have said no? Whoa.
Preposterous. Blasphemy. Stephen A. Okay, so now we'll have the conversation. I was talking to Hudson about this, and John Boy Media, when we went to Denver for the MLB All-Star game, we had a panel. And around that time, I think the week before, Stephen A. Smith said that Shohei Ohtani couldn't be the face of baseball because he has a translator and English is not his first language. That was a terrible take. And someone asked how we felt about it. And I said, first off, I don't even listen to what Stephen A. Smith has to say about basketball. Why would I listen to anything this guy's got to say about baseball? Now, here we are. That clip was from his show First Take. Max Kellerman has moved on. Stephen A. is going to have a bunch of random things to say, and they're always going to come back to Kyrie. Kyrie is just the guy, right? If you want to get clicks, Kai for clicks. If you want to start controversy, Kyrie. This week, they were talking about Ben Simmons doesn't want to play for the Philadelphia Sixers. He'll never play another game for the Sixers in his career. How does Kyrie get dragged into that?
Because it's Kyrie Irving.
The Nets are not trading Kyrie. Do you not see the commercials last year where Kyrie is a kid holding up a New Jersey Nets basketball, talking about how he can't wait to represent the home team, how good it feels to be home? Another thing that Stephen A. said, he said that it was KD, right? Because they're such good friends. He's got to save his friend KD. They didn't save their friend DeAndre Jordan. And is KD picking up the phone in Greece to stop a trade? Is KD picking up the phone in Tokyo to stop a trade? No. Stop acting like
but you know
KD is
what
the
he
GM.
but you know what he might. But Sean Marks isn't an idiot, right? In Marks we trust. Just straight up, the fact that Stephen A. Smith said that in a 1-for-1 Kyrie Irving for Ben Simmons trade, there's a chance that the Philadelphia 76ers might say no.
Yo, it's gotten to the point where they're just reaching, right? We are in week 3 of the NFL. We are in the last 2 weeks of the MLB season, heading into postseason with a wild race on in both leagues. And they want to talk basketball. They want to talk NBA because, the NFL is king, but really the NBA is king as far as the media space and the amount of reach and fans that they have globally.
I mean, social media is a different ballgame with the ML.
It's
and
completely
NBA.
different. The NBA online globally is actually number 1. So I understand them trying to make headlines, but this is preposterous. I'm tired of it. Stephen A is a clown, yo. He gets paid by ESPN $8-9 million dollars a year to be the guy with these hot takes and these loud moments. And bro, enough already. The shit is dead. You were the same guy that said KD and Kyrie were 95% chance signing with the New York Knicks. Yo, when does he lose credibility? I don't look at him. I was saying to Hudson, I don't look at him as a journalist. I don't look at him as a reporter. He doesn't have that journalistic credibility to me. He's a talking head, like Nick Wright.
He lost that credibility.
He did used to write. Okay,
He
lot
used
of these guys wrote,
and it stinks because he used to have that credibility. He came up, eating oodles and noodles, writing, on off of his mother's couch about the Philadelphia 76ers,
Inquirer,
right?
yes.
At the Philly Inquirer. And get your bag, do what you got to do. But it's kind of a shame to see someone fall from grace like this because, boy, if ESPN loses Stephen A. Smith and people eventually start to stop talking about him and giving him any type of the shine that makes him all that money, I don't know who ESPN has left. Kendrick Perkins?
Nah, hell nah. And even with Perk is put up there. He's had some attacks on Kyrie. Remember when Kyrie said he didn't want to go in the bubble last year and Perk came out there and said all that other stuff, man. If Shams doesn't report a trade or a potential trade, if Woj doesn't report a trade or a potential trade, I don't want to hear about it from Stephen A. Smith. I don't want to hear about it from Nick Wright. They don't have any insiders. The NBA players literally call them out like, yo, you don't have my number. We're not boys like that. We don't talk. So it's all for clicks. It's all for views. It's all for trending topics. And pretty soon, there's not going to be any of that. Well, there's going to be narratives on Talking Nets. We always go through the narratives. But once the actual season starts, they're going to have to deal with this Nets revenge season. They're going to have to deal with the Nets just running through this league and Kyrie probably putting together another historic league. I said to Hudson, how come they don't talk about that, right? They say Kyrie's not reliable. Well, last year, when Kyrie was taking mental health times, mental health breaks, whether it was times of this country being in an unfortunate situation like people storming the Capitol, or whether it's his family, his sister or his dad having a birthday party, or the birth of his kid. It seems like Kyrie had it down last year, when to step out and when to take off, because when he came back, every game he came back, he pretty much killed. And he had a historic season, a 50, 40, 90 season. I don't think the Brooklyn Nets organization is too worried about it. So why would we as fans be worried about it? We're not. I'm trying to find the last thing that came out, right? I think I saw someone post it, these rankings that came out.
The ESPN rankings came out today, and they put Kyrie Irving at number 20. And just for reference, just to locate him, because if 20 wasn't prosperous enough to you, who was number 17, Keith?
Trae Young, aka back into defenders, back
That's not basketball.
That's not basketball. Back when we made that little clip, that dude is not better than Kyrie Irving, and he'd probably tell you that himself. If Kyrie is number 20 in the NBA, then we don't have a super team.
No.
We don't have a super team then. If the big three consists of our third player being the 20th best player in the league, then this is not a super team. Take us out of that. Take us out of that talk then. It's all for clicks, right? Who can we drag? They can't drag KD after the performance he had. They can't drag Harden. Harden is an MVP. We know what Harden does. They consistently drag Kyrie, and that is going to just be another chip on his shoulder, another chip on this team's shoulder as we go through a revenge season with unfinished business. That's all we've got, man. We got to wrap things up. Hudson's got to get back to campus, and I got to get back to Jersey before it rains. Let's hit the chat and see what you guys are talking about in the chat real quick. Shout out to everybody that pulled up. I see Luis. I see Jared. I see the usual suspects. Jay from BK. Someone says, so you think Sekou manages to carve out a spot in camp or not? I don't know. I can't say yes to that. Like last episode, we said we signed Devontae Kaycock. Like we got to see what happens in camp. And I know our reporters will be on Twitter. I know our reporters will tell us everything that they see and that they know. I can't say who's making the team or not. It's the most competitive roster in the league. I'll tell you that.
I can say no because last year Sekou didn't have a role on the Detroit Pistons. So
if he couldn't make the Detroit Pistons last year, do we think he took enough of a step this year to contribute to the best team in the NBA? Probably not. Here's another question. Do you guys think Nick Claxton is a future trade asset this year? Trade. So when you make a trade, it's to get something back. What are we lacking to get rid of Nick Claxton? I think Nick Claxton fits a need for us. I think he's our guy that we drafted and are developing. He could potentially be a trade asset if you're thinking that we don't want to pay him what he's going to be worth. But that's down the line, and I can't speak on that yet. I really think that they believe in Nick Claxton. I think they hit him last year when he was coming back from injury so that he wouldn't be asked about in any trades for James Harden. And now he's running with James Harden. They're like hanging out, working out together. He's going to make a huge impact this year.
And we heard just about every name on the Nets be linked in trade talks. I mean, we're talking about Kyrie Irving in trade talks. I did not hear Nick Claxton's name mentioned, certainly not from any credible sources. I know we all have our ESPN NBA trade machine, but if he's not getting mentioned over the summer as part of the Spencer Dinwiddie trade, as part of any of the moves we might have made then he's certainly not getting traded during the regular season. I don't think it would happen, but we also don't know what will happen during the season. We don't know what needs will arise. We don't know if someone will get hurt, God forbid. So who knows? There's never a guarantee in sports, but I don't think he's a trade piece. I think the Nets find him to be way, way more valuable than as a trade piece.
Two more and then we're out. Last question that came in about the team is, what do you think the most dangerous lineup for them to throw out there is? Well, now that we have Aldridge and Millsap, I think one of them starts. I think one of them, like, I don't know. We'll see who's in better shape. I know they're washed, but they're veterans with pedigree. I think one of them fights their way into the starting five, which I think Hudson and I had the same starting five of Kyrie, Harden, KD, Blake, Joe Harris, Blake, whatever, however way you want to, put them, whether you're doing a 1 through 5. We'll see what happens with Joe Harris in camp.
He's got the long hair again.
Good.
I saw it.
Switch it up, Joey.
Our
Whatever
guy,
you gotta do to get right,
Chris,
Joey Buckets.
Our guy Chris from the Wingspan podcast. He's interviewing everybody out there, and Joey had the suit jacket with the white t-shirt and the long hair, and for a pretty normal looking white guy, that's about as drippy as you can get.
Hey, I think he's gonna come back and kill. Talk about looking for revenge. This is a revenge season for Joe Harris. I don't know if he starts. I think he can come off the bench and shoot very well.
I mean, a second unit with him and Patty Mills is lethal. It's lethal.
I would love to see it. All right, last question is, did either one of you see the article on Day'Ron Sharpe?
We actually, right before we went to record, we talked about it. And I do not pay for the New York Times, so I couldn't read it. But I got the summary from Nets Daily. The thing I couldn't get over was the title of the article.
Yeah, it was like 3 parts.
Yeah, it was two. It was two sentences. It had a period in the middle. It was something like, Nets rookie goes apartment shopping, period. Like, he needs ice cream or something like that. It was.
They were trying to bring like multiple things together.
Yeah, there it is. Here, go back.
Nets rookie Day'Ron Sharpe goes apartment hunting, period, needs ice cream, period. All right, and that's how we'll close this episode. That's all we've got. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining in the chat. We are in the John Boy Media Studios in the Bronx. We're looking to come to you guys at least once a week until the season starts from here. And then once we ramp up to 2 episodes a week, maybe we'll do 1 here, 1 remote, whatever works. But we hope you enjoy the, live studio, us being together, better sound quality. And we hope you're excited. We hope you're getting ready for the season. It's time. It's time. It's coming real soon. So make sure you follow us. You can't on Twitter unless you follow our backup account, which is at Talking Nets World. Working on getting at Talking Nets back. But follow us on Instagram. We're approaching 4,000 followers on IG at Talking Nets. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and the YouTube. All of that's going up, and it will go up as the games get started. You can call the voicemail and be heard on any episode. I play 90% of the voicemails. It's 201-870-0461.
Leave a review, though.
I was about to
That's
say.
what I'm looking for.
Now it's time to kick the reviews back up. We haven't been asking for reviews through the offseason. I know it's annoying to be like, write a review. But as we're going back to the basketball season and new pods are being started and people are trying to figure out, hey, what podcast do I listen to keep up with the Nets? I want to really be into the Nets world this year. I'm a fan, but I want to know more as a fan. Well, rock with us. Keithan Hudson, your favorite Brooklyn Nets fanalist. Leave us a review, rate 5 stars, all of that. Get some merch at shop.johnboymedia.com. And that's all we've got. Let's go Nets. Let's go Nets. Brooklyn. I need to set it up where it goes Brooklyn and then we go hard. But here's the outro song. Thanks for watching. We'll see you online.